the ice. We had a lot of guys that made some big contributions, and we had a lot of guys that did a lot of good little things too.
We've been focused on not getting rattled, and that shift is the most important one, so we just got to go back to doing what we do.
Things have been going right for our line offensively, but all that matters is that we're winning in the playoffs.
I think we just got to match their intensity. I think they have a lot more in the tank. We should just focus on bringing it tomorrow.
The Sioux City Musketeers and Chicago Steel are tied at 1 game apiece as they head into Game 3 of the USHL Clark Cup Final. Joining us now is USHL Commissioner Bob Fallon. Bob, what's been the excitement level of this year's final?
You know, it's really been high, Michelle. Thanks for the intro. You know, we knew all along that these two teams had a lot of firepower, and it's the first time in quite a while that both the top-seeded teams will meet in our final. And I talked to you guys briefly beforehand. I think it's a toss-up. I can't really make a call as to who to pull for or call for this game, but there's a lot of talent on the ice tonight.
Well, Bob, I won't force you to make a pick. You're the commissioner. You're not supposed to be making a pick in these situations. Let me ask you, what's the state of the USHL right now? We've been talking to you over the last several years. The league seems to be growing all the time. What's the state of things with the USHL?
Well, I think it's kind of coming together for our league as a result of the growth of hockey here in the United States, and really the proliferation of high-end elite players in our country. I think that over the last several years, you've seen a lot of NHL organizations kind of take a little bit more notice, not only of our league, but really of the pathway to the National Hockey League through college hockey. As you guys know, 95% or more of our players move on to Division I college hockey, and then obviously try to chase their dreams to the National Hockey League after that. But I think more and more each day what's happening is that the pathway of junior college through, or junior hockey through college to the pros is a pathway that more people are selecting.
So, Bob, to familiarize fans further with the USHL, how about some notable NHLers with USHL ties?
Well, I believe the last time I checked, your leading scorer in the Stanley Cup Playoffs was Jake Gensel. He was just playing in Sioux City just 4 years ago. The leading scorer for Team USA over at the World Championships, Johnny Gaudreau, played in Dubuque about 6 years ago before going on to Boston College. The guys like, Max Pacioretty, who was, the Sioux City Musketeers, and, there's a lot of guys all over the league. And what's kind of interesting is just, seeing that they're coming from all of our organizations, top to bottom. One of the things that gives me a great deal of pride as the commissioner of the league is looking at, Central Scouting's list at the beginning of the year, the mid-year reports, and the final reports, and realizing that we're on par with any junior league in the world in terms of guys that the NHL is looking at.
Yeah, dive a little bit deeper into those reports, Bob. Who are some names we should be familiarizing ourselves with as we head into this year's draft?
Well, certainly, the aforementioned Ellie Tolman, and he's a Finnish player who was one of the top scorers in the Under-18 World Championships 2 years ago, an outstanding offensive talent. He's joined on his team with Micah Miller, who's ranked to go in the late rounds with Central Scouting, as a kid that won the national state championship in Minnesota before he came down to play in the USHL. I really like this defenseman on Chicago, Ben Mirages, fine player, big kid. He's just grown into his body. And, of course, we've already got a guy that's been drafted on Chicago, the Minnesota Wild prospect, Alex Steska, who's a Czech goalie playing in our league and playing at a high level all year.
Bob, we've seen in the NHL playoffs this year, it's been just really tight battles, a lot of overtimes. How have the USHL playoffs been from your perspective? Has it been just equally as tight and as competitive?
Very much so, EJ. And I think that one of the things that struck me as I watched some of the games through the quarterfinals and semis and everything is, the speed of our game just seems to get quicker every single year. My son just played in this league 6 years ago, and I don't know if he'd be able to play in this league anymore. It's just a very fast league and very physical series right now between Sioux City and Chicago. I think that's one of the things that Chicago's trying to do, is to neutralize the speed of Sioux City. So, one of the takeaways from my trip last weekend to Sioux City was the physicality of the series as well. And as you guys know, it's kind of a war of attrition, as you just got to try to stay healthy through the playoffs to win a championship.
But whether it's pertaining to expansion or just the overall growth of the league, what's your vision of the future for the USHL?
Well, we've talked about this before, Steve, is, we have a strategic vision for the growth of our league, and it's directly tied to what we believe, working with the National Hockey League and USA Hockey, is the vision for making sure there's more Tier 1 capable players here in the United States. We currently have 16 USHL teams along with the National Development Program. Both the 17 and 18 teams play in our league. So we believe there's room for growth with the proliferation of talent here in the United States. One of the things I observed when I was up for the World Cup in Toronto in September, I saw you there, Steve, and I believe you were there as well, EJ. The power play that climbed over the boards for that North American team had 3 Americans on it, one from Arizona, one from Florida, and one from Texas. So the growth capability and potential for this country is in a lot of the markets that are considered non-traditional. So I think the trajectory of elite talent and elite development in this country really has no boundaries.
And a bright future ahead, certainly for the USHL. Bob, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck to you in your future endeavors with the USHL.
Absolutely, and thanks, and congrats to Steve on defecting to the Pittsburgh Penguins organization.
That's a word that hasn't been used yet.
Yeah, you're going to go to work for a great organization. David Morehouse and his guys do a really good job, and they're huge supporters of ours, and best of luck to you, Steve.
Thank you so much, Bob. I really appreciate it.
So true. Our Mearsey getting traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins. But let's touch on what Bob had to say about the USHL coming so far. What's your perspective? You've been here for a long time. You've been doing this. How far has it come?
Oh, it's come miles and miles. I mean, there's no question about it. You didn't have something like the USHL, going back into the 70s, 80s. I mean, it's only something that we've seen develop over the last 15 years, where it's really become a factor where kids now, as Bob points out, they see it as a pathway to go and play in the USHL and then go on to maybe play, or most likely play in U.S. college hockey, and then make that the road to the National Hockey League. And it's been a very good option for many of them. You mentioned Johnny Gaudreau. That's one that comes to mind right away. There are many, many others. You see in the draft this year, Casey Middlestad's a kid from the Minnesota area. Ili Tolvanen is coming in now from Finland to come over and play in the USHL and take that path as well. So I think they've just come so far in a short period of time. And he mentioned, Sue, just the fact that the game is getting faster everywhere. It's getting faster at the NHL level. It's faster at the USHL level. And the fact that his son, he says here, only a few short years ago played in the league, and now it would be a struggle for him because this thing just keeps getting ramped up further and further. So should be an interesting couple of games there as they decide the Clark Cup to see who's going to win it. And a shout out to Johnny Mack, our own Johnny McClain.
Yeah.
His son is playing for Sioux City, so we wish him the best in that game, and we wish Chicago the best as well. We want to see just a good hockey, and may the better team win, as they say.
I think a lot of people would be surprised, hockey fans would be surprised to know how many NHL players have USHL ties. And we mentioned some of those names. As you said, Johnny Gaudreau, Jake Gensel, Joe Pavelski would be another one. And also the majority of players on Team USA's World Junior Championship squad that won gold in Montreal this year had USHL ties. They came through that league. So it's really valuable. Bob Fallon's doing a tremendous job. Great vision for not only the growth of his league, but the growth of the sport at the grassroots level.
No question.
And as Bob mentioned, Jake Gensel also on the top of that list. And the players in the USHL have big dreams to one day make it to the NHL. And as we step